is Buck, and this is Cooking with Hillbilly Herpetology. We have here a delicious squash. No, I'm just kidding, we're not cooking anything. What we're doing today, we've got some oats. I've got some stuff up in the cabinet that's been up in the cabinet for a while. This is just some pork rinds. This is some plantain chips. And these are things we haven't eaten for a while. They've been up there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn them into some roach food. And this here is gonna be for our mealworm colonies and things like that. And we're just gonna go over some common maintenance that needs to be done every once in a while whenever you're taking care of your own feeders. So I'm gonna put Buck up here and we'll get to it. All right, so usually speaking, I don't use squash to feed my mealworm colonies, but I don't know about you. In the summertime out here in country areas, we always have a garden. And if you have a garden, you probably have an overabundance of squash at this time of the year. And the best way I find to use some of the excess after throwing enough in my freezer to last me through the winter is cutting thin slices like this and putting them in for my mealworms to get moisture from and to eat. It's been going great, so I'm just going to keep doing it. So I cut them into the thin slices and then we put them up there. As we're up there, I noticed the last time there was a few of the colonies that were getting pretty low on substrate, which that's all the rolled oats is substrate slash food. That's what they live in and then eat as well. So we're gonna add some more of the oats to that. And the other thing I wanted to show you guys while I'm down here is with these, I'm just going to put these in whole. This will be fine. They'll slowly chew on these. With these, I'm going to do the same, but I'm going to crush them just slightly, just to get them in some smaller pieces. Spread them out a little bit further, but don't have to be too much. And the good thing about feeding dry to your roaches is it's going to keep the inside of the roach colony from becoming overly moist and getting mold and getting flies and things like that. So when you're using this, the best thing to do is to take a piece of bread, put it on a butter bowl lid, and wet that bread down with water. You're going to put that into the enclosure, and the roaches are going to come, they're going to get their water from that, and then it's going to be an extra food source for them as well. This is high in protein. Roaches can cannibalize and will if they have a low protein in their diet. So whenever you're taking stuff like this occasionally and throwing in there, it's just boosting their protein for a while, so that way they don't have to worry about any cannibalizing going on. We don't have to worry about any cannibalizing going on, both of us. It's a good thing for the roaches and for us. So next thing you see is going to be us up here actually divvying stuff out to the different colonies and looking at them and seeing how they're going. All right, we're back into the feeding video, feeding the feeders, that is. That's actually the name of the video here, feeding the feeders. But come over here, get them while using the light. I just wanted to introduce you guys to Ifrit. This is our red monster line, bearded dragon. Is it coming up good?
It's hard to tell in that light.
We can go over to the lamp. Sorry guys, lighting is bad in my animal room. I have to use the electrical outlets for the heating lamps, and so because of that, I don't think it's going to do any better over here either.
Yeah, you can just see the candy cane too.
Yeah. Either way, this thing's sick, guys. Just wait. We'll do a video downstairs in the natural lighting. But yeah, if I want to have heat lights on for my animals, I can't have a bunch of lighting lights up here. We'll be looking for another place to live here soon, and we won't have to worry about that anymore. The whole animal room will be different. But till then, this is what we got. All right, so we're up here. I've got my bag of goodies. Where did I put my bag of goodies? Right here it is. Anybody that knows me is laughing right now because that's me all the time. I'm like, where is this? Okay, so First, we're starting with our pieces of squash. Now, here we have different mealworm colonies, and as you can see, bunches and bunches of activity in here. You probably can't see, it's a little bit dark, but we've got tons of mealworms in here. So what I've been doing is I've been taking like a piece or two of squash and adding it in every mealworm bin. And the beetles will all come to it and eat it, and then the mealworms themselves come up and eat it too. And then this is the one I was saying that I have to add some oatmeal to. They've eaten all the oatmeal. All that's left down here is pretty much mealworm poop and mealworms. We got more over here. Just a few more here. And then just a few more here. Alright, now that we have all the mealworms taken care of, we can do the roaches. Now, about the roaches. So tomorrow is going to be my big cleaning day on these guys. I'm going to actually be taking out all of these old pizza boxes, replacing them with new pizza boxes. Yes, I regularly use pizza boxes because you know what? They're free. And I don't like to have the paper stuff. And as you can see here, it's obviously not hurting my roaches, it's not hurting my animals. Here's a potato that I just put in there not that long ago, and this morning actually, and look at how much these roaches have eaten out of that already. Crazy. That's a lot for roaches, guys. Examples of the colony here thriving. These are buffalo beetles. These just cleaning crew for all of the mess that gets down here in the bottom, because as you can see, it gets a little bit messy having these roaches. Now, the buffalo beetles eat everything, so that way they're not all stinking and decaying or anything. But this is one of my small colonies here. I wouldn't say that this is a very big colony. There's a lot of them down here in all of this. I'll put stuff like this in here along with the boxes, just so that way they all have places to go to. The more places there are for them to hide, the more babies they'll have at a time. And that's also why I try to keep my numbers a little bit low per colony. So that way they'll reproduce more. So I'm just going to take, obviously, that potato I put in there earlier. Guys, this is the reason why I have a random potato in there from earlier. I come up this morning, and the water monitor has decided she's going to change her own light bulb. So I get into the enclosure, and I see that this bulb is just sitting on the ground. And she must have jumped up there at it or something, and she's always trying to get up to the top so she can try to untie where the cords go through and get out. So I had to take a potato, get the metal piece from the backup out of there, and get a new light in there this morning. But that's the potato that the other half of the potato that I didn't use ended up in with the roaches. So I'm going to put a few pieces of squash in here. I brought up some tops of celery because this has high water content and it doesn't rot super easy. So it's a great thing to just put in there. They'll eat that right up. And then we brought up some banana chips too, because like I said, you don't want to get too much liquid in there. You want enough for them, if you're not putting the bread in, if you're not spraying them, you want enough liquid in there so that way they're not dehydrating, but you don't want them to get moldy either. And you don't want all kinds of flies and nastiness up here if you can avoid it. So this is one of my other ones that I have here. And once again, as you can see, tomorrow's the big day for getting all of the new bedding and everything, separating some of them out. I'm going to make another colony. Put a few pieces of squash in, rinse and repeat pretty much what I've already been doing. More of the same. Okay, so little of all of this different medley of goodies for them. Now, this part's optional and depending on what you're feeding them, but I've got a sprayer, and a lot of times I'll sit and I'll spray some some water in the screen tops. That'll get the cardboard a little bit moist, keeps their humidity up, but the big thing is it gives them a little extra water. I typically have it up in the 80s in this room just because the tarantulas grow good. It's a great ambient temperature for all the monitors. So keeping it up here in the 80s also makes the roaches reproduce fast, but they also need plenty of water. Here's the last of the dubias that we have to feed here. This is another small colony here. This is actually my feeder colony. So when I need food, I usually will come here and feed out of this one. All the other ones I usually don't touch just because you've got to really have a good system going if you're feeding a lot of these out to make sure that you're not running out of them ever. These are very expensive to get into. I spent, I think, $250 a few years ago on my first colony to get started, and I've grown them out to this. And so they're expensive to get into. You don't want to lose that by overfeeding your adults or anything. And there's all of the dubias. Now, we'll show you guys some that people don't see overly often. This is an orange head roach. Let's go underneath the lighting a little bit better. The colors of this thing are gorgeous. The babies are bright red when they're born. And they're good sized roaches, and actually after you get them going, they breed really good. We got a lot in here. Now the difference between them and the dubias are, they kind of like things, I don't want to say neglected, but kind of neglected. They want it kind of messy, filthy, damp, moist. They thrive in it. It took me months and months and months to get them to breed. And finally, it was just kind of when I left them alone and let things go that I started getting them going crazy. So let me do this, guys, because you guys got to see the color on these. I don't know if that even helps. But, I mean, these things are crazy orange. So, same treatment. Throw me a handful of this stuff in, but only this is actually a pretty big colony, so I'm going to throw a couple of handfuls in. And then the last one that we have here, this is a mess right now is what this is. This is my hissers. I've had a fruit fly bloom going on in here. So there's probably gonna be a bunch of fruit flies coming out. So, and the babies of these, well, they in general, yeah, no, they can climb up the edges. So we've got little tiny babies in here like that, all the way up to the big mama adults. These are Madagascar hissing cockroaches. Let's see if we can get one of them to do it for us. Of course not, because we're on camera. Oh, there's a little bit. Am I too nice to him? Did you hear that? There's a little hiss. Little hisses. So these guys are cool, but they don't reproduce super fast. They like it super moist too. And once again for these guys, tomorrow is cleaning day. I put some fresh fruit in here, and I shouldn't have. Let's just say that. So, in summary, for the roaches, you can feed them just about anything. They like dog food. Eric was just telling me earlier today that he put some dog food in for his hissers, and that he had never seen them go after it like anything else. They like that protein. So make sure that you are occasionally, sorry, if you were a dubia, I'd let you go, but you're not a dubia. Sorry guys, one of my hisser babies got out. And hissers are fairly expensive roaches, so we don't want them going anywhere. So, with the feeding, just make sure you're occasionally mixing some high protein items in there, and you're going to want to occasionally feed the roaches some oranges if you want to ramp up that reproduction. It helps, but don't feed them oranges all the time. That's an occasional thing. And then just a varied diet. I use a lot of vegetable scrap from my kitchen, varying it up, but you can go as simple as dog food and a wet piece of bread. So it really just depends on what you're wanting to do. I personally believe that when I'm feeding my roaches a more diverse diet, that my animals are benefiting from that. Because remember, what they are becomes what your animals are. They're growing off of these. So you do have to remember that. So feed them as good as you can is what I always say. With the mealworms, I try to just make sure I've got potatoes, something in there to keep some liquid in there, because you got to remember, if you're just feeding them dry stuff all the time, they're not retaining much moisture anyway. You're feeding those to your animals, and you don't want to get into a spot where you have an animal that's a naturally arid animal that doesn't drink a lot of water anyway, and you're feeding them a bunch of animals that are going to dry them out. So just watch what you're feeding the mealworms to because of that, and to combat that a little bit, try to make sure you're feeding them a lot more liquid in their diet. Yeah, that's pretty much what I got for now. If you've got any questions, comment down below. I wanted to thank everybody for watching. We're up to 70 subscriptions now, and or subscribers now, I should say. And you know, that's great. I love the fact that we're growing. Make sure you guys are commenting down below. It helps out so much. Also provides some interaction. If you like some of the videos that we do, say that you like them in the comments, so that way I know what kind of videos to be making for you guys. We have a lot here, so I can make them more tailor-suited to the viewers, so that way I know what you guys want to see, but I need that interaction in the comment section down below for me to know that. So love having you guys here, and love having you guys at Hillbilly Herpetology, presented by Webbed Up Exotics. Get stuck.